Like that's the biggest thing I think guys face is like giving a fuck. Like too many guys give a fuck about pointless shit, about some girl who's not texting them back or not calling them back, which is like, bro, why do you care? Like from a third person perspective, like you and me looking down on this dude, we're like, what are you doing? But I understand because I was in that position where it's like when you're in the moment, like that's all you care about. It's like that one person not responding to your text, that one person not responding to your calls, or that one girl who's hanging out with some other dude, and you're so frustrated and you just become obsessed over it. And so I think that's a common issue with a lot of guys is they don't understand why the girl's doing it, and they've never been told why the girl's doing it in the first place and how they should react to it. And I think that's something that a lot of guys have to learn the hard way. I think that's why my podcast grew so much, is mainly just because guys would come across searching different topics, and my stuff would pop up and they'd see a guy my age who figured this stuff out at their age. So you know, it's very inspiring. And for me, when I had those issues, I'd go search up videos on, okay, why won't this girl text me back? Why won't this girl do this, you know? And I found Coach Corey Wayne. I don't know if you know who Coach Corey Wayne is. He's a dating relationship coach, but I think he's like 50 years old. And yeah, I started watching his videos, started learning from his work. And then all my other buddies, they started to like ask me questions because I started to get good with girls after learning it and applying the information from some dude.
What was the one thing that you learned at the beginning that helped you not care, not give a fuck, and be able to break that little cycle?
So that first, you do things for the girl, right? So when you hear stop caring, walk away and talk to other girls, the guys will do that for the girl still. They're still doing it to attract the girl. And for me, it was the same thing. I was walking away from the girl for the girl. And that's very temporary, because once you get the girl back, you revert back to your same behaviors. You didn't actually become better. You didn't actually become stronger. You didn't actually start to love yourself. You just did a tactic that you learned to get the girl. And so the biggest thing is you have to learn that, no, it's not just a tactic. It's an actual mindset where it's like you have to actually love yourself. When a person loves themselves, you don't allow girls or other people to disrespect you or walk away from you or treat you like you're not valuable, right? And so when you start to love yourself and respect yourself, you're like, you know what, I don't even want this girl anymore. You know, I don't want a girl who doesn't want me.
Yeah.
And so you just walk away.
Yeah, for me, I would never be able to do that tactic because I feel that goes against who I am as a person.
Right.
So I remember, and just to give you context, I got married very young.
Oh shit.
So I got married when I was 21.
Holy fuck.
And I was married for a very long time. I was married for almost 10 years. And recently I got separated, going through a divorce. And then I started learning about all of this dating things. That's when I met Cam. And I had never thought about a dating coach. That to me is like a complete new concept.
Yeah.
So some of my friends will tell me that of, no, just don't reply, don't text back, don't. But to me that feels petty because I'm coming from the mindset of like, if I'm going to be with someone, I want to be with that person. The fact that they wouldn't reply to a message on purpose feels like so wrong. So I would never want to do that just because, and kind of what you were saying, the moment that you're with a person that is the tactic that you have to do to get them to want to talk to you, I'm like, no, if I have to be with someone that I have to do that tactic, I don't want that.
Right. And so that's the one thing is, okay, yeah, you go through these phases of, okay, yeah, learning these tactics and learning what works, but then once you start to realize, okay, yeah, these are all very temporary things. It's like you're not even gonna want the girl in the long term if she's doing those things, you know? And you want people who are genuinely interested in you. You want people who actually love you for who you are. You don't want girls who play around, play games. But, you know, you're going to come across a lot of girls who do those things. And so it's just like you just have to learn how to navigate through this whole thing of dating. I think for me is like, yeah, I learned through like my parents' relationship. I learned like what my dad did wrong with my mom. I learned, okay, cool. Like I saw, like when they got divorced, I saw, okay, this is what they did wrong. Obviously, I don't want to do that, you know? So I learned from other people's divorces, just looking at their relationships, which is something like that I'm realizing now is like, holy shit, like that's a pretty awesome gift, is just to see and observe other people and learn from them instead of having to do it the hard way, you know? Because if you get in a relationship for such a long time, you're out of the game for a very long time. And like, you have your interactions with other women are, you know, not always there. And it's a lot of time. Like 10.
Is there something
crazy.
specific that you learned from looking at that relationship? Because I learned a lot during my divorce. I learned a lot about myself, about relationships, and to me, I've always been interested in being with someone, investing in that person for the long haul, and building something great. I was never interested in like being with a bunch of women and all that. And trust me, I could get any woman that I want.
Yeah.
When I was like separated, Logan, I had more than what I could even juggle.
Yeah.
And to a point that it's just too much that it affects like my job, my career. And for me, that is like very important.
Right.
So what are a couple of things that you have learned looking at other failed relationships, or maybe from your own experiences, that whenever you're thinking of helping another guy, you can give him like a couple tips of like specific things to look out for?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is first, not all relationships are meant to last forever. Like I think everyone's been told this fairy tale that, okay, once you're with a girl, it has to be forever. And so I think for it probably, the relationship with your ex-wife, it probably, ended a long time way before you guys actually got the divorce. But you guys stuck through, maybe because of your guys' personal beliefs or what you guys been told by your family or friends, maybe because of society it looks bad having a divorce. But I think like, hey, like if you guys are not happy and you guys are not getting that pleasure you guys did in the beginning, that's totally okay. That's natural for those things to fade away. People grow, people change. I think you trying to hold on to something that's the past, maybe you're holding on to the previous girl, or you're holding on to, your fantasy of her, which that's not her anymore. It caused you to be in some sort of, la la land of some girl that's not even real.
The problem with that is, when do you know that it's just a matter of sticking through it and building a relationship, and when is the time to go because there's no saving this? Which I went through that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because I totally agree with you that relationships are not meant to last. I think we guys, we can accept that a lot easier than women. At least in my experience, women are always thinking of like a forever thing. And I think it comes back to biology and psychology, because they need to make sure that you're going to be around, because if they have sexual intercourse with you,
yep,
and they get pregnant, that kid is going to be like their responsibility for 20 years or more. So they need to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to go with you, it has to be forever. How can you tell when a relationship is not meant to be something for long, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a relationship to last, I mean, it's your guys' goals and values have to be aligned. And sometimes those things change, So it could be whenever, like if your goals and values change, she's got to be on board with you. And if she's not, then she's got to go, And I think for a guy, you want a girl because, you've probably experienced so many different changes and different pathways of life. And it's, sometimes girls are not going to be down for those things. Maybe you're into doing the whole podcasting and stuff, and then the next month you're into something else, and you want a girl who's like very solid and you're ride or die. No matter what, she's going to be next to you. And I think that's what every guy wants, is just loyalty.
Now, in your case, do you think that young guys like you, and how old are you?
I'm 19.
So do you think 19-year-olds should be in relationships? Are you in a relationship?
Yeah, so yes, that's the funny thing, is I tell a lot of young guys, don't be in serious relationships. When I mean serious, I mean dating a girl long term. And the funny thing is, I've been in a relationship for 3+ years, and I have multiple girlfriends I've known for, plus 2 years. And the reason why I have those relationships and I understand like how to keep girls attracted long term, just because I've worked on myself. I've experienced those heartbreaks at a very, very early on, like 15, 16, I was getting my heart broken. I was getting cheated on, worst of the worst, bro. So it was like, I had some crazy ex-girlfriends.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, go.
And let's just talk about the things that, whatever you don't want to talk about, we don't have to talk about.
I'm down to talk about anything, man.
Tell me about that, because I haven't experienced that yet. I hope I never have to experience that. But I think that's something, like you said, because that happened, it probably made you stronger and better for things later.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think I dated a few girls with daddy issues. Like, in daddy issues, this is why I talk about girls with daddy issues a lot on my podcast, and it's something that a lot of guys just don't know, right? And basically, they had a lot of girls' daddy issues, and they just were always very insecure. You know, they were devious. They weren't honest. But we were always told as guys, and me specifically, I was always told like, oh, you shouldn't care, or we were never even told to worry about those things. You're just told to look at, okay, she hot, okay, she nice, cool. But then, you know, when she's at the worst, bro, the girls can get pretty fucking crazy. Girls can get pretty bad. That's the one thing I had no idea about. I thought all girls were perfect angels. I thought girls were fucking perfect, bro. I thought they were princesses. That's what I was told, like from Disney, from my mom, my dad.
For your mom, I think I have such a good relationship with my mom. Always, since I was a little kid. And my mom went through a lot of shit in her life, like with my biological father. It was like super terrible. So I always had this like super close bond with my mom. And I never thought, like in my head, I'm never thinking about cheating on anyone. I'm never thinking of any of that. And then when you encounter women that have this different dynamic with their parents, with their dads and their moms, they filter life different.
Yeah, and so when I say, dude, stay away from girls' daddy issues, everyone gets mad. Oh, but she can't control that. I'm like, yeah, of course, it's subconscious. Like the reason why people act the way they do is because of their parents. Like that's where your self-esteem is built. That's where your confidence is built. Yeah. Like that's where your insecurities are also built. You know, so a lot of people don't understand. It's like, dude, subconsciously, your parents play a huge role on the way you act now. But you can change that if you know what they've done wrong, or you know that, okay, this is what they were doing and I need to change that, or this is what I'm doing subconsciously because of them, I need to change that. But not a lot of people are self-aware. Like I became self-aware like very quickly. I was like, oh, I'm acting like, you know, a complete simp because I saw this on TV. Oh, because, you know, my mom was talking to some dude who was a simp, right? And so it's like, constant, you're always being brainwashed, you're always being pushed this simp shit, you know?
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? Because I feel like when you hear the word simp, it sounds so fucking terrible. But the actual application of being like that is actually being a nice guy.
Yeah, it's
maybe too nice.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, and this happened to me as well, because I was just being nice because I was trying to be like a gentleman. Like I'm from Cuba, so in my culture, as a guy, you're supposed to be a gentleman. Like,
right.
There is a lot of pride in that. So you open doors, hold bags. Like you're very, but we're not stupid.
Right.
We're fucking savages.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, and how do you think guys can identify when they're having those behaviors?
Yes.
So they don't fall to do something that they think in their head that they're being a gentleman and they're being courteous.
Yeah, so simping, being nice, being a good guy, they all kind of mix together, they all get confused together. But I think basic thing when I talk about simping, I talk about, is what you're doing being reciprocated, or is it being appreciated? So when you're holding a door open for a girl, is she actually appreciating it, or is she talking to other dudes behind your back? When you're going on a date with a girl and you're paying for the food, is she actually appreciating it, or is she just using it for your money? Right? And so a lot of guys are doing a lot of these things and they're not getting appreciated. They're getting walked over. The girl's using them. That's simping, especially if it's constant over and over and over. If it happens once, cool. You walk away from the girl and never talk to her again, right? That's the difference between a simp and a guy who actually understands himself and he's nice and he's a gentleman. Is like the simp will just keep allowing it to happen over and over and over because he's insecure. He's fearful of losing the girl because he puts her on a pedestal. Yeah. He values her way more than he values his own like values and beliefs and how he views himself, right? And the gentleman, he does all these things until the girl disrespects him, doesn't value it, and doesn't appreciate it. He's like, all right, cool. Another girl that might value it and appreciate it, I'm gonna do it for her, right? Yeah. That's just how he is. Yeah. So I think that's the main difference for sure.
Yeah, the walking away, I think that is something that is very hard for guys to do initially. Yeah. I think, and I want to speak to guys like around your age and younger.
Yeah.
As you get older, I think it gets way easier.
Super easy, yeah.
What do you think could help guys like your age range? What can they do so the fear of walking out or like stopping a relationship when you're being disrespected and not appreciated, how can they work on that?
I think for me, like specifically, I valued walking away because it would have saved me so much time in the past. Like I used to talk to girls hours on the phone on FaceTime, lead to no sex. I would talk to girls for months and months and months, lead to no sex. I would be best friends with a girl for months and months and months, lead to no sex.
The best friend thing, like
No,
that happened to me when I
Yeah.
was younger, when I was like about your age.
Yeah.
That happened to me. I will never be friends with a girl
Yeah.
ever again.
Yep.
If I'm attracted to
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But I had to go through fucking heartbreak.
Yeah, you have to waste a bunch of time to realize, fuck, I just
man.
wasted this much time and it led to nothing. So I think every guy has to learn the hard way, and they have to learn like, okay, cool. If you know this now, so that's why I talk about this so much on my podcast. That's why I try to share it to the world. Is like, if guys know it, they have no excuse not to do it. You know. But I didn't. Back when I was doing it, I had no one telling me. I had no best friend telling me like, dude, you're wasting your time. I had a bunch of simp friends as well who were doing the same shit. So it kind of just like, you know, made my behavior okay, or kind of like, you know, whatever I was doing, it seemed as okay because everyone was promoting it.
Or average.
Yeah, her girlfriends were telling me, yeah, just keep calling her, yeah, keep sending her gifts, you know. So it's like her girlfriends hype it up, your simp friends are doing the same shit. So it's like you need to surround yourself with dudes who are on your level or doing where you want to be at. Like you want to be surrounded by dudes who are high level guys who respect themselves, guys who love themselves. And sadly, it's very difficult for guys to find other dudes who are like-minded. So that's why I created Alpha's Only Club. That's why I created all these groups for guys to find other like-minded men. And we have meetups all the time in different places around the world, so guys can hang out, meet each other. Just because that's something I lacked. I just lacked, you know, a dude who was better than me or at my level who would just give me advice. I had to go search for it, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing is like, fuck, if you don't have those things, you're basically against the media, you're against society, you're against your parents. If they're also in a bad relationship, you're basically against everyone. And it's very hard to succeed on your own when you have all these forces against you. So that's why I'm trying to do as much as I can to help the younger generation and basically do what I wish I had, which was just good advice. Like, dude, don't waste your time on a girl who doesn't even love you or respect you, mm-hmm. or, you know, is talking to other dudes.
Yeah, I would even go to say that if you're young, under 25, unless you find someone that you think you're gonna marry them and you're going to invest for a decade or more, if you found that person, then consider that person and invest in that if that is how it's going to play out. If you don't have that, and you just have to be honest with yourself. If you don't have that, don't be in a relationship. You need to build yourself up. You need to use those 5 years. Dude, like from the time that I was like 17, 18, to the time I was 24, I did so much. Like I was in another country. I was running a media department at a large organization. I was able to make a film, leave the country, go to another country for a film festival, come back. I was doing businesses, selling things, like working on different film projects. And during that time, I was in a relationship.
Right.
And the reason that it worked is that I was invested and she was invested, and this was something that we were going to do for the rest of our lives. 10 years later, things changed, but in that moment, the only reason why it worked, it was because of that. Yeah. If I had been here in America, those are completely different circumstances. I was in a different society, different set of like circumstances and all that. If I had been here in America, if I could have older Axel talking to like 20-year-old Axel, I would be like, bro, run away from all distractions and just invest time in yourself.
Yeah.
Working out, find ways to make money and connect with a bunch of other dudes and like make sure you're making strong relationships. The challenge is that at that time is when you go looking for girls the most.
Yep. And the funny thing is you get the most girls when you're not focused on girls. That's the best part is like, mm-hmm. It's a total paradox. It's like when you don't want any girls, you're like, fuck, dude, I'm just focused on money, my business, my mission, purpose. They all come. Or when you're in another relationship, that's when so many girls start hitting you up. Hey, what are you doing? It's like, oh fuck, I'm in a relationship. I can't talk to you, right? Then when you get out of the relationship, you're single. All right, cool. Let's hop back on the horse. All the girls are just gone. So it's like they sense it, bro. And you know the best part as well is like the great indicator of this as well is like. I made a tweet on this, is like shorties love hitting you up while you're with another girl, and because they can sense it. They can sense the competition. They can sense when other girls are around you and other girls desire you. And this is one of the things I'm talking about in my course as well, is like how you can actually get girls attracted to you by using other girls. Because girls will look at other girls, and when they see girls around this guy or other girls desire this guy, it already eliminates the fact that they have to do the pre-qualification. Another girl did it for her. So she did the pre-qualification of, is this guy a weirdo? Obviously not. He's with a hot girl. Does this guy have a big dick? I don't know. He's with a hot girl, right? Does this guy, is he good in bed? Probably, because he's with a hot girl, right? So girls have already pre-qualified. Okay,
They
that's why.
they don't even know that that's going in their brain.
Yes, and that's why they're more likely to go for dudes who are in relationships, guys like Dan Bilzerian, guys like Pete Davidson, even though he's ugly as fuck. Like, looks don't matter, bro. Like, these are all things you could play your cards right. That's you could set yourself up like that. So these are all things that I talk about a lot, and it's all about psychology. It's crazy how many guys don't understand this stuff. It's like they think, oh, won't a girl find me more attractive if I'm only into her and I'm only looking at her and I'm only obsessed with her? It's like, no, dude. It's funny. You do that, she runs away.
That's what she's going to tell you that she wants.
Yes.
But she doesn't know what she wants.
Yes, because they're emotional. So they might think that, oh, it feels good when a guy gives me all this attention, but it's not what they're attracted to. Because they're so focused on their feelings that they can't actually give solid advice. That's why I tell guys, don't listen to girls for dating advice or any of this advice at all. Because they're super emotional. They're going to tell you what they think they like. And then when you actually do it, their actions show completely otherwise.
Yeah. And then you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why? Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The only thing I would push back that I think I have a different approach is I don't think learning how to do that as a tactic to get something, I think that's a short-term fix.
Yeah.
I think that if you really want that, then go back to what we were talking about before. Focus on making money, be strong, like do your things.
Yep.
And then the girls are going to naturally appear, and then that is going to attract the other women.
Yeah.
Because the part that I'm afraid, when I start listening to all of this, like red pill or dating or this and that, and I'm not in that space as an expert or anything at all. I'm doing this podcast, and to be honest, like I'm doing dating and relationship episodes. One, because I want to learn, and second, because I know people want that. So I believe that if you're building yourself up, that is the fastest track to actually getting the woman.
Yes.
Because if you just learn this trick and that trick, you're still wasting so much time and energy towards capturing the attention of someone who is all wrapped in feelings, and 3 months from now is going to feel something else, and you will never be able to encapsulate her feelings and be able to control them. So you might as well, like, don't even worry about it. Like, worry about you.
Right. Yeah. The reason why I talk about that though is just like the psychology breakdown of it. But yeah, I mean, if you get too caught up on those things, on those tactics where it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna hang around these girls just to get more girls. It's like, it's a super weird like mindset. It's like, bro, no, just do your own thing, focus on your mission purpose. Yeah, 100%. Focus on your mission purpose, you know, focus on your business, but at the same time, a lot of guys who do these things, they still struggle with women. And the reason is why? Why are these guys who are making the money, they have the looks, they're still struggling with women is because they don't understand them. They don't realize this is what actually girls are attracted to. So that's why I talk about the psychology, because if you understand it, you'll learn, okay, cool, this is what girls are actually attracted to. So I'm actually doing the right thing.
Right.
I'm ignoring what these girls are saying, because the girls might throw these little tests at you like, oh, you talk to so many girls, or you have so much girl attention, why would I want to date you, right? And so a lot of guys who don't understand women, even if they're rich, even if they have the looks, they might think, oh, fuck, maybe she's right. You know, I should probably just switch up and just talk to her only. But that's because they don't know any better, right? And so that's why it's like, okay, cool. Once you understand the psychology, understand what women are attracted to, it's going to help you in the long run. That's why everything I do is to teach guys how to understand women, just so once you understand women, you know what they're attracted to, and so you can align yourself with what they're attracted to, which, like you said, is your mission purpose, making money, doing your thing. And so it's kind of interesting how that all works, but yeah, I mean, just understanding women alone is something that not a lot of guys know how to do. And once you understand women, they actually show you a lot more about yourself. And women will show you a lot of the things that you need to work on yourself. Like for me in those relationships, right? We all learned something that we needed to work on. We all learned something that, okay, cool, this was turning her off. It's probably a bad trait in me that's actually turning her off and causing her to push away from me. Which in the end, you know, yeah, you might have lost her, or you thought you lost her. And she ended up walking away, then you start to realize, oh cool, this thing that, you know, my insecurities, my fearfulness turned her off. You know, now I know, okay, girls aren't attracted to that, and that thing is actually not even helping me. Being fearful and being weak and being submissive is not even good for yourself either, you know? And so girls are very like open and honest about what they're attracted to, and that thing that they're attracted to is actually good for you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So now that you're touching on breakups, I would love to get your thoughts on that, and how do you manage or handle that time? And I guess what are the things that you're seeing from other guys that whenever they have to go through a breakup, it's like the hardest thing to deal with, and how can we help them, give them some advice?
So there's two different guys. There's one guy who's still caught up on the girl and the fantasy of the girl, which is, oh my gosh, she was such a perfect girl. She was the one. She was the one for me. We were gonna get married. We were gonna have kids.
Do you really hear guys saying all that?
I think a lot of guys believe that, like that's the girl that was gonna be for them. That was the one that I missed out on.
Why do you think they feel that? Like, was the sex amazing, or
See, that's
was
another thing is like a lot of guys will get caught up on how good the sex is, how hot the girl is, and these things all control guys when they have lack of experience. Like once you have a lot of good sex, once you meet a lot of hot women, you're like, I don't value that stuff anymore. This is why I tell guys like get used to like having, you know, multiple girls or just talking to multiple girls and interacting with hot girls, so like you don't put them on a pedestal, because a lot of guys will meet a hot girl, put her on a pedestal, have good sex, put her on a pedestal. And it's that's where all the toxic relationships end out, where it's like, okay, the girl's bad, but the sex is so good, or the girl's bad, but she looks so hot, you know. So it's like that toxic fucking relationship.
Yeah, there's Logan, there is something there with the toxic and the good. I don't know what it is.
Dude, it's fucking crazy, man. Like, yeah, these toxic girls, man, the sex is super good, and yeah, they're super hot, but it's like, fuck, it's not even worth your headache and your peace of mind, bro. It's not worth it. Like, once you stop valuing sex and once you stop valuing looks, you just value your fucking peace and your energy. Is like, oh, dude, just peace and energy is all I want, bro.
And I feel there has to be a combination where you can find both. There has to be a way to be able to find both.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, that's why I think for the longest time, dudes have always had like one really good girl, you know, or multiple good girls, and then they also always had the side chicks, whatever, you know. And I think today, I mean, it's much harder to find all-in-one, because it's like you want a girl who's a freak but also a virgin that hasn't been with a bunch of guys, and it's a total paradox. It's like that's the paradox is girls want mastery over a man that cannot be mastered. They want a beast that can never be tamed, but that's why they're with the guy to try and tame him, even though they know he can't be tamed. Total paradox. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it just creates a balance.
Yeah.
Where you have, if you have everything on one side or the other side, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So you need to have that balance and that tension, which I have been able to explain that and communicate. Like sometimes I will do something and she will react in a certain way. And then I remember telling her, even though you think that that is what you want me to do, I'm just not doing it, even because I could do that you're asking me.
Yeah.
I'm deciding consciously not to do it, because if I do it, down the road, you will lose respect for me.
Yep.
So this is, and her face was like she couldn't like comprehend that.
Yeah.
But I think that happens a lot, and it's just really hard for guys to let go.
Yeah, girls will be like, oh, I don't want you hanging out with those guys. I don't want you hanging out. I don't want you going out with your boys. And then guys will give up all their friends. They'll give up all the girls they're talking to. And then they're like, all right, cool. But then the girl loses respect, starts acting more bitchy. It's because you changed who you are. The girl was interested in you in the first place because that's who she met in the first place. That's who she's attracted to, the guy that she met at first. But then guys turn into something else because that's what the girl was saying. And that's what guys get so confused. It's like, I did everything she asked for. Why'd she break up with me? It's like, because you weren't supposed to do everything she asked for. You're supposed to reject that shit. You're supposed to be who you are in the first place.
Yes.
That's who she's attracted to. The guy said, no, I want to keep my friends. No, I kind of want to keep the girls on the side. You know, it's like, you don't have to, but it's like, it has to be what you want. It can't be doing things because that's what she wanted. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing girls are attracted to.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of that except one thing. Having the side girls.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I don't want to do that me personally. And to be honest, when guys do that, I kind of lose respect for them a little bit. I don't know why. I understand the desire, and I have the desire too, but I choose not to act on that desire. And I think it sounds old school and it sounds like maybe stupid or whatever, but to me it's more a reflection of who I'm choosing to be in my own character. So I'm not doing it not to like avoid a fight or like to not make her upset. whenever I was married and whenever I am in a relationship, I'm only devoting my time to that person because of myself. So once it becomes about me deciding to do that for me, I'm way happier. Even if I'm missing out on crazy adventures and whatever, like if I wanted to have the adventures, I would just not choose to be in a relationship.
Right.
And I think guys are very obsessed with this idea of like, and now it has become very popular.
Yeah, with Andrew Tate and stuff.
Yeah. And listen, you need to understand something about Andrew. He's a master at capturing attention, and he's a performer.
Yeah.
So I can tell that even though he's telling you all of these things, in reality, when you think about a man running businesses, like doing all these things, traveling and this and that, if they choose to be in a real relationship, that is going to serve them more so they can keep their energy and attention, not having to keep up all of this like random women at the same time. Even though it seems appealing and attractive. And I think it feels more attractive when you have a lack of women.
Yeah, when you have no girls, it's like, oh, whoa, the multiple girls, this is amazing. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys who are basically homeless. Like, they have no chicks at all, no girls, they're not talking to any girls. It's either like, and it's kind of weird, like you said, it's like you were getting a lot of female attention. Like, it's either you don't get any female attention or you get too much. And it's just because of the market today, man. It's like, all the girls are chasing after the top 10% of dudes. Like, and you notice this, like, right when you reach that gap of I'm better than 90% of these dudes out here, it's like all the girls start flooding to you, and you have like too many girls. It's like, fuck, there's too many to choose from.
Yeah.
And then if you're the 90% of the guys, dude, you're not getting laid at all. Even average guy in America, for sure, is not getting any pussy. Virgin, like that's stats. It's like more guys are virgins than girls. That just shows how many guys are actually virgins. And then you look at the top 10% of dudes, and they're getting laid like 300 plus body count. You know, it's like, you don't have to, but, you know, if that's your value system and what you value, you know, outweighs, you know, sleeping with multiple girls or having multiple girls, then yeah, then that's a way stronger value to have. And if that's not one of your values, then, you know, that's one of your options. Like, you can sleep with that many girls. Like, if you're at the top, dude, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, how many girls these rappers have in their DMs compared to the average guy, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that when they're reaching out to these people, they know they're not going to be faithful. But then if that same girl is talking to a regular guy, then they want him to like only be into her and all that. So that's where all the debates come on. That's where you have like Fresh and Fit fighting this person and that person, and like they all get into it. Like when you went to the other podcast, also like you guys got into that.
Yeah.
So tell me about the whole podcast thing. How was that experience? And like in general, because I think you're a really well-spoken guy, and I was really interested to like sit down with you and talk about all of this.
Yeah, so I think I was hopping on a very red pill podcast. Obviously, Brian's very red pilled, and I'm so used to hearing this red pill podcast shit. I think you noticed as well. You point out, like, when I was on the podcast, I wasn't actually trying to roast the girls. It just so happened I accidentally did. I didn't do it on purpose, or I didn't try to like directly call them out or whatever. It just so happened that's what happened. But yeah, my whole goal on that podcast was to show guys another option. Is like, hey, instead of getting mad at these girls, which you notice a lot of these guys get mad at these chicks for being hoes or using guys for their money. A lot of these guys get mad. They're dropping money on donations to go roast these girls.
That is the stupidest thing ever.
Dude, they're donating hundreds of dollars to roast some girl. Like, oh, you're some OnlyFans girl. You're some 304. You're some hoe. Why should I listen to you? You know, we've met girls like you, and they're super angry, man. You can tell the energy, the vibrations are very low. Like, I think a lot of hardcore rebel dudes, their vibrations and their energies is very low energy. And I'm not saying they're not speaking the truth. The thing is, their vibrations and their energy are very low. I think that's something that not a lot of people understand, is like, I want to show guys a different vibration, different energy, and different level you could reach is like getting past the anger at women, getting past being salty, and just starting to love yourself and love people for who they are. I understand why these girls are like this. I even called it on the podcast. All of them had no dads. I called it out. I was like, what's the relationship with your dad? Non-existent, bad, cheated. All of them, all consistently had bad fathers. I'm like, okay, I understand you guys. I love you guys for who you are. And I'm not going to try to change you guys. And I'm not going to try to argue with you guys. You can't argue with women. Anyone who understands women, you can't argue with them. They bring in emotions. You can't win, right?
I tried, Logan.
You can't win. You bring in logic. You bring in whatever logic you want. That's why it's entertaining. That's why the red pill guys are getting so many views. It's like it's very entertaining for guys to see using logic on girls, and then they get frustrated, right? Because it's entertaining, but it doesn't actually work. It doesn't actually get them to do what you want. And if you notice on the podcast, I was speaking a lot, and the girls would just start nodding their head like, "Oh yeah, that's so true." It's because I'm coming at a different level, a different energy that they can actually relate to.
Yeah.
And
well, you brought a complete different feel to it. Like you were all dressed up, you were being respectful, you were speaking slow, you weren't getting emotional. Why do you think that there are so many guys that get so like on that train of making all women like appear as if they're terrible? You
have to understand, like they're putting on OnlyFans girls. Why is it that every single time on Red Pill podcast it's only OnlyFans girls? It's like because that's the most entertaining thing. It's like a hoe versus some super logical red pill dude. It's like that's what gets the most views because that's what it's super masculine girls versus masculine logic, and they just go against each other. It's like, bro, of course you're gonna get arguments, right? That's why they're doing it. That's why they choose these girls, like, and they expect all guys to see all girls like this. So I'm like, dude, no, I have actual good quality girls in my life, so I know not all girls are like this. Yeah. And once you learn how to avoid these girls, these girls are fun to play with, not fun to date, obviously. But yeah, once you start having good, healthy relationships in your life, it's not like that's all you notice around you. It's like all you start to notice are these high quality women. You start to hang out in higher quality areas. You stop going to the clubs. Like, but you're not gonna find good quality chicks at the club. You're not gonna find good quality chicks, out on the streets. They're gonna be in rural areas. They're gonna be at farms or grocery stores, the bookstore, whatever. That's where I try to align myself. And I think a lot of these red pill guys, they're very angry and salty and frustrated at women. And let's just look at the results that they're getting. How many good quality girls do they have in their life willing to die for them? Probably zero. Like, I have very solid women in my life who are willing to die for me, willing to help me with my business, willing to help me make money in ethical ways, girls who are willing to do basically anything for me because they really genuinely love me. And they care for me. They offer a very nice feminine energy. And a lot of these red pill guys, they don't have that. And you could tell, you could just look, I know this guy doesn't get girls. I know this guy doesn't have good quality girls in his life. And that's why he's thinking all these girls are hoes. That's why all these girls are like this. That's why he's like, oh, I'm going to get a passport and just travel, go to Japan or something. It's like, bro, no. You can
Yeah, I hope, and that's one of the reasons why I'm also doing the podcast. I hope that we can have a bit more healthy conversations about all of this. Because at the end of the day, we all have things that we do that are bad, and we all have things that we do that are great. Like, the same way you have those women that go on the podcast and they appear to be terrible, there's also guys that are assholes that treat girls really bad, because you can also take it too far. Like, the concept of like, if she disrespects you, leave or whatever. There are guys out there using women, like, not like, I don't know the stats on abuse and all of that, but there's a lot of men just being mean to women. And I think that's also why we have that response from a lot of the general population, and mostly women, feeling like most men are like assholes and this and that, because they're thinking of like the one asshole that is like destroying the lives of like 5 women in a row.
Yes.
They're not thinking of all the guys who are husbands, who go to work, listen to all your stories, and just come home and are not fucking around. Like, most guys are not going around fucking around because it's really hard.
Like I said, 90% of dudes are not doing that. But girls don't notice those 90% of good, nice guys at all. They don't notice them at all. That's why all those guys are virgins. If they did, they wouldn't be virgins, right? So that's the stats. It's like, why are these girls looking at these toxic assholes and picturing that all guys are like this? It's because that's what they're actually attracted to at first, is they're attracted to these traits that these guys have. These super manipulative and controlling guys, they're actually attracted to it because it comes off as dominance. And then it turns into, oh my God, this guy's actually controlling, this guy's actually abusive, but it's too late then. It's already been 2-3 months till a girl gets rid of those feelings and just realizes, oh shit, this guy's actually toxic, this guy's actually really bad. But she doesn't realize it until it's too late. So these guys come off and it's perceived as dominance. These guys are perceived as high value at first because they come off super dominant, super direct. And that's part of, controlling. And the girls don't realize it until it's too late. And that's why the girls, they perceive being in those relationships with those guys, because sadly, that's what they're attracted to, like those traits that he had. Then she started to realize, okay, those traits were because he's actually just controlling asshole. He's not actually just dominant and loving. And he's not any of those other things, right? And so they get confused, and then I think now they think that, oh, this is what all guys are like, but that's all they're attracted to. That's all they've been dating. That's all they see is like all these guys. Like when you ask girls, I think the even said on the Red Pill podcast is like, how many guys do you think have boats? And like all the girls are like, oh, 10, 20%. It's like, no, dude, less than fucking 0.5% of people have a fucking boat. But that's all they see. They only see guys with all these, cars, the rappers, the guys who go out and cheat. That's all they see, because that's kind of what they're only attracted to at first, or the qualities at least. Not the guy himself, it's just the qualities that get them attracted. It's like peacocking. It's like, if the pickup guys, they wear certain clothes or glasses or very, very flashy things to get the girl's attention, and that's just part of peacocking for pickup. But the same thing applies there as well.
Yeah. Have you seen a huge difference between like city girls and like smaller town women?
Yeah.
And guys too. Like, are the dynamics really different? Because I've been here in LA for about 3 years now, and this is pretty much all I know in that scene. Because when I didn't live in LA, I was married, so I was not dating, I was not into any of that. I wonder if you have seen a difference with like the guys that you talk to. Does it really matter?
I think in other areas, like very low population cities, everything's much better. Like, dude, everything's better in like lower population areas. Like, it's all the shit gets very when shit gets condensed, when shit gets very like very condensed. There's a lot of people. A bunch of shit goes wrong, like, and there's a bunch of shit that just, like fucking, so much bad shit goes on when there's more people, and there's definitely a reason why, because we're not, as humans, we're not meant to be pushed into very closed off environments, very close cities. We're supposed to be meant to be free, explore. And when you push people in very condensed areas, they start doing weird shit. You read about this on, it's called, like, it's zoology, and it shows like animals, they're completely normal when they're in their natural environment. I mean, when you put them together in very high dense populations, they start doing weird things. They start adapting weird traits, like eating their poop, trying to fuck the same gender, even though for animals, like, they can't repopulate. That's what you notice about these super high population areas, like a lot more gay people, which just is what it is. A lot more weird shit, a lot of homeless people, a lot of people on crack. All these things start to rise, and there's a reason why. It's because it's not natural for us to be fucking super close together. And it does something to our psychology where it messes us up. So that's something that's very interesting. If you read that book, Stephen Arnio talks about the book Hard Times Create Strong Men, and that's what you'll notice about as well as they want you to actually be in very high population areas. They're trying to push people in the very high population areas because you can control people much easier.
So when you say they're trying to do this, who do you think is doing that?
Definitely the elites, definitely the people of higher power, like definitely the people who are in control. They definitely want you to be in higher areas, higher, denser areas, harder for you to leave. It keeps you trapped, it keeps you contained, right? And that's the thing is, like, they don't want you self-reliant. If you're in the very dense area, do you have a farm? Do you have land that you could, make food from? No, you don't. You have to rely on stores and shit. They make you reliant on them, on their system.
I think that's just a byproduct of us coming together to build bigger things. I don't think it's like people saying, okay, we're gonna corner them and we're gonna do this and that. Because cities have been around for millennia, so forever. And it's just, I understand everything that you're saying, and I see that point, but I think we just come together because we're trying to build things, and we are also stronger together. We wouldn't be in this freaking tall building if we were in the middle of Idaho in a farm.
And that's another thing. Is it's kind of funny, it's people think that we're much smarter just because we're building all these new things, because we have iPhones and all this technology now. But it's like, bro, if we were to go in caveman days, we would not survive. And if cavemen, and if cavemen were to come here, they would get fucked. So it just depends, like, on the area that you're in. I think people will get confused and think that, okay, we're much smarter. But it's like, if you put the average LA person in caveman days, no phone, no technology, no knives, they would just die.
Yeah, they're screwed. But also this idea that, we were better off back then in the old times, and like societies turned to shit and all of this, which I'm interested to know your perspective, because to me, coming from another country, coming to America, I think this is the greatest fucking country in the world. Like, this country is amazing. Yet, I saw people in college and then throughout my career who don't see that. So that scares me. Like, I don't like that. Like, when people start talking bad about America, like, Americans, bro. Like, I went across borders, I came here, like, my brother went through, like, so much shit to get into this country, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that people are turning into see everything, and part of it also the whole dating thing and relationships. And I'm very afraid that young guys are being pushed this message that America is like so terrible. And even with women, all American women are terrible. And the only way that you can find a good woman is like if you go to Russia or Eastern Europe or some kind of weird, messed up country and save a girl and bring her to America. What do you think about that?
It's actually interesting because it's like, yeah, we're being pushed that, okay, yeah, it's better in other countries. That's one thing I started noticing as well. Is like, even Tate even talks about all the time. Other countries are way better than America. America's super corrupt, but everywhere's super corrupt as well. You know, it's like, but yeah, I think for here, I mean, I've only been mostly in the U.S., so I have no idea. But what I've seen so far is, yeah, a lot of young guys are being pushed to just kind of realize that, okay, yeah, these things are not all that amazing. Like how it's hyped up, you know. And so it's like, it's interesting because I don't really know because I haven't been traveling, but yeah, I mean, for guys, they're just being told, oh yeah, all the girls here are bad, they're all 304s, you know, the society, the culture's bad. But I think it's like just honestly who you surround yourself with. But there could be obviously a much bigger agenda to why people or why this message is growing so large. And I think there's always a reason for everything. Nothing's on accident. So the reason why so many guys are being pushed to leave this country or to hate this country, it's definitely not no accident, right? So that's something that a lot of people need to think about. Is, okay, why are people thinking this way? Who's presenting this information? And why are they presenting this information? And that's where you're going to see the truth. So maybe so many guys are being presented this message is because we're not unified. We're not strong as one, right? When you get rid of the patriotic Team America mindset, you start to get guys who are from different places, and that's how they align. Oh no, I'm from Romania, so I can't talk to American. Oh no, I'm from this place, I can't talk to you. You know, you're from America, you love America, right? So it's like, I think they're just trying to divide us even more. That could be one of the ways they're trying to divide us. And it seems like it's working, right? So you see a lot of guys being divided by the country that they're in and things like that. So it's very interesting, and they're always trying to divide us by our skin color, you know, our genders. Like the whole red pill thing is you know, it's all about just separating men and making men against women, when it should be men and women together. And I think men and women need to realize that women have feminism that they need to fucking fight against, and we have all these other ideologies that we need to fight against as men as well, that are stopping us to realize that it should be men and women together versus everything else. Like that's the thing, is like, and then with your partner as well, is like, it's you two versus the world. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is like, if you tried to go against women, it's like, bro, like that's how you're literally fucking made. Like, just understand, like there's gotta be, you have to understand, like this is just the basic biology, is like you guys need to be together. It's like, even the Red Pill guys, like you guys love women, you know, at the end of the day, you still wanna hook up with women, you still wanna have sex with them, you still wanna have kids with them. So they just need to be honest with what they want, man. Like I'm super honest with what I want, and I realize, okay, cool, I do wanna have kids. I do wanna have a wife, you know, or maybe multiple wives, I don't know.
You want to have multiple wives?
I don't know, man. Like that's what, I don't know. It could be cool. I don't know. I gotta try it.
It's a headache.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't go for that. Yeah, no. Having one. Let's wait and see. Get one wife first, and then after 3 years of having one wife,
I think
let's see if you want to have more.
Having multiple girlfriends though is like you're super aware of everything 24/7. Like you're aware
having multiple girlfriends at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, like you have to be super aware of like everything they're doing. Like girls are very like, they're smart, man. Girls are super smart.
Why would you want to have multiple girlfriends at the same time?
So the only reason why I would want to have, or why I do have multiple girlfriends now, is just so they can help me with like other things in life. Cooking, cleaning, fucking taking care of the house, fucking working on my business with me. Right, that's the only reason why I have multiple girlfriends.
But you understand that you can have all of that without having multiple girlfriends, right?
Yeah, you could have just one girlfriend that does all those things as well.
No, and it's way easier to buy meal prep, hire someone to clean your house.
Yeah.
And then hire an assistant on your business. And that way you don't have to deal with all of that. I wouldn't think that that was the reason. I feel like guys want to do that because they want to have more sex.
Dude, that's a funny thing as well, is like, sex is like something that I do not care about, which is funny because you're like, oh, you're 19, you gotta care about sex. It's like, dude, trust me, I do not care about sex
Well,
at
once
all.
you have enough sex, then that's it.
Yeah, it's
you
like-
can only eat so much.
Yeah, it's like, bro, I use sex to get what I want now. It's like, because now I've basically just trained the girls around me to, whenever they do the right things, whenever they behave well, whenever they do whatever makes me happy, in return they get sex. And that's
That sounds crazy. Logan.
it does sound crazy, because so many guys like can't understand that dynamic of like, because it's usually the other way around, is like guys do whatever for sex, right? But you could actually put yourself in a position, especially if you're good in bed, you know what you're doing, you can actually put yourself in a position where girls are wanting to do things for sex as their reward. And it's something that is not talked about at all, because it's just, but it works though. And that's something that not a lot of guys know, not a lot of guys understand, is because they value sex too much, I think. And it's something that girls care about sex way more than guys. Girls will do way more for sex than guys. And if you're in a healthy relationship, the easy way I could tell from a healthy relationship or not is if the girl is wanting sex from the guy way more than he's wanting sex from her. That's an easy telltale sign that the girl is very attracted, and the relationship is doing very well, because the girls will actually do 90 to 100% of the chasing, pursuing, and calling. And that's because the girls are emotional, right? Feeling, right? And sex is a feeling, right? It's like, it makes them feel good. And so when you can control how she feels, you can give her a really good experience, make her feel good, she's always gonna be going to you for those feelings. And that's why girls go back to their ex-boyfriends after a relationship. So it's like, you might go out with a girl, you do everything perfect, and then she just texts you, hey, sorry, it's not gonna work out. My ex popped back into the picture. It's like, what? I did everything right. Why are you choosing this guy? Because she has a stronger emotional connection to that guy, and a much more emotional bond to that guy, because she's known him for a certain amount of time, certain amount of years. She has more feelings and emotions built up towards that guy. So even if he's her ex, she's still gonna choose him over you, because she just met you. Even if you're doing everything right, even if you're the super high value dude, whatever, if it's her ex-boyfriend and she has feelings towards him, she's going back to him.
And she won't even tell you. Like in this example, she's saying it.
Yeah,
like,
but in reality,
they won't
she just
even tell
ghosts.
you.
Yep, they just ghost, and you're like, what the fuck happened? It's like, oh, she probably went back to her ex. There's another guy in the picture. Another thing guys need to understand is, girls will not dump you, or especially for most girls that you're talking to, they're not going to just fucking ghost you or not talk to you unless there's another dude that popped into the picture. And it's usually their ex-boyfriend or a guy who they had more emotional attachment to. Maybe it was a guy they were chasing forever that eventually decided, I'll have sex with you. So it's crazy, because he uses that dynamic of sex as a reward for her, and she ends up choosing the guy that she ended up trying to work for sex more than the guy that she's already having sex with consistently. It's like, girls value sex and they care about sex way more than guys.
And if that ever happened to you or anyone that is watching, just walk away and never talk to her again.
No. Yeah, you can't like, and those are things you just can't control. Like, it's not like something you did wrong. Like, you could be the most perfect guy on a date. That's one of the guys who called me recently for coaching. He's like, dude, I did everything perfect on a date, texting her very little, saying mysterious. She was calling me, chasing me, and then she ghosts out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, dude, another dude popped into the picture. It's probably her ex. And it's so true. It happens all the time, and guys don't understand why. Another thing as well is, like, I heard literally yesterday, I was overhearing some conversation of some guy talking about how his girlfriend dumped him because he didn't tell her that he had a day off of work, and he wanted to surprise her with that day off of work, and she was mad that he lied about having a day off of work to surprise her. And he was like, oh, dude, I can't believe, and all these other guys are like, dude, that's retarded. I can't believe she would dump him for that. That's retarded. If you look at it base level, yeah, that's retarded, but that's not actually the reason why she broke up with him.
100%.
The reason why she broke up with him is because she lost attraction towards him. She's not, because when girls are attracted to you, when girls are in love, they do not dump you. They'll never break up with you. It's because she lost attraction. There's another guy in the picture who's doing way better than you, and all these other reasons. The guys, they listened to what she said, which was, that was like the nice way of her saying it to him. Because girls never want to be mean, man. They're emotional. So they don't want to, have your feelings hurt. They don't like that. It doesn't make them feel good, right? And they've also been trained by guys, because whenever girls have been straight up in the past, guys get angry, they get upset. So now girls have figured out a way to be a little bit more low key, a little bit more secretive about why they actually dumped you. The girl's never gonna tell you, I dumped you because you're being a fucking pussy. No girl's ever gonna say that shit, ever. They're always gonna say, oh, it's me, it's not you, it's just not working out. Oh, it's my parents, they don't want me talking to anyone. It's like, dude, all these other excuses. It's like, oh, at this time, it's not the right time, so it's like, but they've been trained that way. and also they don't want to hurt your feelings. So guys need to understand, look at her actions and not what she says. That's the biggest thing, is especially getting over heartbreaks and a girl dumping you. It's like, bro, her actions are literally saying she is not into you and she wants to move on from you. That's why she's dumping you, and it's something that you did wrong. And a lot of guys as well, in the red pill community as well, is like they will definitely just blame the girl for all those things. Oh, she was a hoe, you know, just blame the girl. You know, but for me, it's like, dude, no, she broke up with you because of something that you are actually doing, right? And it's always like, the one quote I really like is like, weak guys blame others, strong men blame themselves. And that's something that's super true, is like, see all these red pill guys, they blame all these women for, you know, for using these simps. But it's like, no, these simps allowed the girl to use them.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I think taking the mindset that everything is your responsibility, like the good and the bad, that's going to help you, even if it's not true. Like, even if she was like a whole whatever, you chose her.
So it's still his fault. It's your fault for not noticing those things.
You have to take the shed sandwich and eat it, and then make sure it doesn't happen again. I think at the end of the day, and especially with young guys, as long as you understand that shit is going to go wrong and you'll be better on the other side, it's okay. Just make sure that you know, hey, things are going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but then it's going to be okay on the other side. Yeah,
I mean, that applies to fighting. That applies to sports, to training. It's like, yeah, it's going to suck now. And the only thing that's going to get you through is understanding that's very temporary. It's a very, very temporary feeling. All those feelings of doubt and negativity and that shitty ass feeling is super temporary. And once you understand, oh, this is just temporary, it's like I could just start moving on to the next feeling, you know, or the next situation very quickly. So yeah, you're right, 100%.
Awesome. Well, Logan, thank you so much, man, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this episode, check out this other episode with my friend Cameron. I think you're going to love it.